February and March was packed with gigs, and being the gig gremlin I am, I attended so many gigs. I've decided I want to start a new series on my channel where I document and recap all the gigs I go to on a monthly basis. This first episode is going to be split into part 1 and part 2, and it's going to cover February and March. They're split this way because there was a lot more gigs in February than there was in March, and it's April now. So we're already a bit late with the recaps, but I hope you guys don't mind. These recap videos are for me to kind of encapsulate my experiences going to these gigs. I have a terrible memory. I do like to watch back on my gig videos, but they're also going to be a kind of documentation of what I felt like it was like to shoot in these venues, because I am a music photographer and videographer as well. So I think that's a bit of a good enough intro to start off with. There is a lot of bands to go through, and I'm splitting this into a part 1 and part 2. So, because this is the first video, let me know what you guys think. I'm really looking for feedback here. I'm not someone who's super confident about reviewing gigs or live music. I'm not from a musical background. I'm from a photography and videography background, and even then, I still kind of feel new to photography. I've been doing video for the longest, so that is my comfort, my safety, my what I know best. But I am very much a person who likes to share the process and figuring things out. So me documenting the experience of attending some venues for the first time, especially these larger venues, and explaining my experiences that I've had at them, I feel like could be beneficial to other photographers out there, as well as me who has a terrible memory and wants to be able to remember what I had done in previous venues. So feel free to leave comments on things you would like to know more about in these gig recaps, or just give me some feedback on if you think I did a good job or I didn't do a good job. Either way, let me know. Let's start the video. So, gig number 1 was on Saturday the 1st of February at the Banshee Labyrinth as part of the Winter Warmer Festival. I saw 3 bands at this. I was working with one of them, the one, the only, Datura! But before I go into the band reviews, I'm going to start off each gig that I go to with a sort of gig venue overview review of the venue itself, photo pit, lighting, all that stuff. So the Banshees Labyrinth is in Edinburgh. It's just off of Cowgate, which is quite a central location in Edinburgh where there's quite a few pubs and venues. I did mention that this event was part of the Winter Warmer Festival, so there was actually 3 venues with bands playing throughout the whole day as part of this festival. The labyrinth is a labyrinth, and access is via a spiral staircase downstairs to this very small room, which is a fun venue to shoot in, I will admit. There's still many rooms in this place I haven't explored. I've been here twice now, and I've shot in the same room both times, which is downstairs. I don't know what the name of the room is called. Being a small venue, this is a room, like a proper room, I would say. And I couldn't find out what the capacity is for this room. Google just doesn't have that information. I did see a review saying 35, but that seems a bit too small. I'm thinking 50 to 80 people, but even then I don't know how that many people could fit into this room. It is a tight squeeze, and the stage is just a little bit of a raised platform, like maybe by a couple of inches. It's not anything dramatic, and there's no photo barrier. Of course there isn't. It's a tiny little room, but these kind of intimate venues and small spaces are really wholesome experiences, so don't be put off by this yet. I know this is the first venue we're shooting in this recap. We build up to the bigger venues as we go on. So you don't have a photo barrier, you're shooting from the crowd, and generally the crowd will give you a nice little bit of space to work with, but at the same time, you're shooting with the crowd. You gotta be respectful, make sure that they're still getting to see the artist, move about, don't be standing dead center. You work with what you get. There is a little bit of access to the side of the stage on the left side. Now, when I'm saying left, I mean from the crowd's perspective. There is a space where you can kind of get up onto the stage and get close-ups of the drummer. So it's nice for getting those angles that you don't necessarily get when you're working with big stages and you can't see the drummer. So there's swings and roundabouts with these kind of venues. And when you're wanting to get kind of further away shots, there's usually a little bit at the back of the room where the merch stand is, and you can kind of stand behind that, and the sound booth is right next to it. And if the sound guy is the sound guy, he might let you in the booth to take a couple of snaps, because that happened to me the first time I went there. There's also like a series of steps that lead down into the room, so you could stand on those steps to get like a wider full room shot, but I wouldn't recommend it because when the room's full, there tends to be people standing on those stairs, and it's also the access in and out of the room. It's where people are purchasing their wristbands or paying for entry, so it's not really a good place to stand. But at the merch desk at the back, which is dead center, so you can get a full room shot, or next to the sound booth, which I guess is the exact same place, you can maybe get in the corner a little bit, is another spot to get that kind of wide angle shot. Lighting in this venue is not the best. In fact, it's very dark, and I remember the first time I shot here, there was these really interesting, and I say interesting with words, filters used on the spotlight, which created these kind of star shape effects on the artists. Not very metal if you're asking me. So you really gotta be able to work with low light in this place and pretty not so fun colors. I ended up putting a lot of my photos in black and white because no, it's not flattering colors. But like I said, I've shot here twice, both times with Datura. But before we get into Datura, there was a band on before them, so that is who we will start our review with. Maat Carré. I'm pronouncing it a bit weird because Scottish, but they did have a video on their Instagram about how to pronounce their name. Is a all-female death metal band from the UK / the Netherlands. Again, that's what it says in their bio, but I do believe they travelled up from Birmingham, which is where majority of the band is based. And I just love the fact that an international, can I say international? A band has travelled across borders to come to Scotland to play in this tiny little venue, and it was an all-female band. Again, something that just, yes, give me more of this. Especially in small venue shows, I felt like the lead singer was singing directly to me the whole time. We were making eye contact the whole time. If I was up on that tiny little stage and singing to a room full of people, my eyes would be darting all over the place. I just wouldn't. So props to you, hon. You got my attention. They were hard, they were heavy, they were screamy. I'm not the best with describing music, you will begin to understand this, but for a, death metal band, it's kind of what you expect. In smaller venues like this, it's a bit hard to kind of sometimes hear, or it's just me and not really knowing what someone's singing or screaming or saying, and wishing that subtitles were on absolutely everything. I just go off of like energy and vibes when I don't really know what's being sung to me, if that's, my honest approach to things. And again, I feel like something that's quite important is your presence, your performance. Their makeup and hair was real fucking cool. Put effort into that stuff. If you're up on stage in front of a bunch of people, look cool doing it, and they did. So yes, I actually noticed that the vocalist had really killer boots on and that their videographer was getting like a cool close-up shot of them, and I was just like, hell yeah, you get that shot, because that's that details. I actually spoke to their videographer after their set, who goes by Ironside Studios, so I'll give him a shout out because he was super friendly, super lovely, and I find it so rare to find videographers in this field. There's plenty of photographers, but videographers are a rare breed. So I was super happy to chat with him, get some advice, see him working, and just going, yes, you are slaying. And also I have a lot of respect for bands that do put in the effort to hire photographers and videographers and take them on tour with them, especially coming up from Birmingham to Scotland to Edinburgh. Well done. You get extra brownie points. After their set, Datura was on. As I mentioned, I work with these guys a lot. They're from Aberdeen, northeast hardcore. We love that. I think this is my 7th or 8th time shooting them. I'm losing track. We shoot a lot. But second time in this venue, so I was prepared for the lighting. I was prepared in every sense, except for right this second when I said I was going to have the set list in my hand and it's up there on my pinboard. So I'm not that prepared. But I've started to get to know their set pretty well. And now I can say they actually have a song out online on Spotify, on all your streaming services. Skinwalker is Datura's first single, and I think I knew that this was gonna be released soon when I was filming this gig, so I was like making sure I got content of that like fully so that we could do an edit for it. Memorable moments from their set for me is obviously it was my first filming gig of the year, so I was very excited about it. And I forgot they open their set with Britney Spears, which is always something that just gets the room singing along and feeling happy. So credit to them, they know how to work a crowd. I was shooting photo and video for this set. There was another photographer there. He was really sound, so I kind of said to him like, I'm gonna be shooting photo and video. We'll signal to each other if we want to swap spaces. So yeah, I like shooting in the Banshees Labyrinth. I think it's quite a fun little tiny small intimate venue. You can get really close to your artist. Sean likes to get into the crowd quite a lot, which always makes it a little tiny, just a smidge bit difficult for me when the room's small. And normally you want to be taking photos of someone's face, but if he's in the crowd and doing his thing, then I just focus on the other three members on the stage until he gets back on the stage, and then I can get photos of him with the band. Again, with the stage being pretty much floor level, it means I can get really nice all angle band shots from the like ground and anywhere else. I think there's also like a bit where you can kind of get around on the side of the stage, because I'm sure I have a shot where I'm kind of in the back right corner, right of the crowd, over with the band and the crowd in front. So yeah, you can get a variety of different things with this place. If you would like to catch Datura, their next show, they are going to be playing Aberdeen on the 4th of April, which is Friday, and Glasgow on the 5th of April, which is Saturday. Really hoping I have this video uploaded before then. I'll be there for both shows because I'm always working with these guys, so it'd be nice to see anyone there and say hello. If you're watching this after fact, there's so many dates that the Datura are doing this year, so make sure you check out their Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media platform you use. I will be linking Instagram profiles for every single artist that I mentioned in this video, by the way, just so you can find a link to the band and then go from there, because Instagram is the one I use the most, if I'm being honest. But you'll find whatever social platform you need through their Instagram. I can guarantee it. And links to tickets. That's the important thing. Buy tickets. After Datura set, it was Hyperstasis up next. Again, I wasn't shooting these guys. I was just there for Datura that night. But I do love when I get to chill at the back of a gig and just enjoy watching other bands. So yeah, I sat at the merch desk with the Datura lads and watched these guys set. What was really funny for me was the drummer from Datura, Ryan, and I were speaking, and we clocked that one of the members from Hyperstatus looks so much like the singer Sean from Datura. And seconds after this, Sean's up on stage with Hyperstatus doing a bloody cover of Linkin Park with them. It was really cool. I really respected it. I thought it was so nice that they like are doing a little collab like that, and yeah, it was great. I was just 10 out of 10. Hyperstasis, I believe, are a nu metal flavored post-hardcore band from Dundee. I'm saying Dundee with a question mark because I don't actually know. I had written that in my notes. I don't know where I got that from. It's not linked on your Instagram, guys. So if I'm wrong with that, correct me. But Dundee is the place I've put. But I could just say Scotland because that's what most people seem to want to say. Hey, I have seen these guys on quite a few lineups. They seem to be doing quite a lot of live shows. So definitely go check them out on Instagram. Have I written down when their next show is? I have not, but I saw that there was loads and loads of dates that they seem to be doing quite a lot in April, so definitely try and keep an eye out for these guys. You might even struggle to get a ticket because the crowd was a lot more dense for these guys. They definitely have a loyal fan base. There's a lot of people here that want to support them, and I thought they were just sound. I think they're really talented, and I really liked how they performed. And again, it was just nice getting to chill at the back and just enjoy a gig. Because sometimes when you're working a gig, you don't get to take it all in. And I just thought they were great. What hyped me even more was actually, I got a message from the band after the show, maybe a couple of days after, saying how much they really liked the photos I'd gotten of Datura. So that was really nice, and I really appreciated that, considering I hadn't actually spoke to any of the band, and they just reached out and were so nice. So yeah, I appreciate bands who give feedback even though they don't necessarily know me. So yeah, thanks lads. Right, that's the first gig done. On to gig number 2. So the second gig we're going to review was the Hara at the Attic, which is also known as Room 2 as part of Garage in Glasgow, on Wednesday the 5th, with Lorraise and Tropic Gold supporting. So the venue itself is somewhere I've been to for 3 gigs before in the past and shot once before. It's part of the Garage, as I mentioned, and it's kind of around the back of the club. So if you've never been to this venue, you might think it's a gig in the Garage because it also hosts gig nights, but it's actually around the corner. It's around like a little back lane. And then you go around the back and you find this beautiful hidden little venue, and it's moi. I love it. With the room itself, it's a bit of an odd shape. So you've got your stage, you've got the bar, and then you kind of got like a little out bit here where there's a screen to watch the stage if you cannot get into this bit because it's the bar and the stage. So this bit gets quite full, and then kind of people seep out and closer to like the merch stand and the door that you got in. So it gets full pretty quickly, and it can be a bit of a pain to see. And if that main bit is full and you're standing over here, you don't really have a view of the stage, which is why we've got a screen so that you can kind of still see what's going on. And with this wall that blocks, if you have a pass and if security is super nice, you can go round this way. It's sealed off usually. You can go round this way and shoot side stage and get up onto the stage again if security is super nice and lets you do that, because they did for me, which is, you know, super sound because I didn't have a AAA pass. In terms of photo barrier, there isn't one. I've never seen a photo barrier in this venue. However, I have heard there has been some events where they've had a barrier, but I can't imagine a barrier being big enough for being a photo pit as well, or how they would manage access to that. So I don't know. I feel like that's false information I've been told, but maybe you've seen a photo barrier at some point in this venue. If you have, let me know, but no, there's no barrier. The stage isn't very high up. In fact, the crowd is literally like this close to the band, you know? Like, I mean, it's mad. It's mad how close you can be to the artist in the Attic. It's a really nice venue for that. In terms of the lighting, it was set to consistent, constant, not moving, not flashing, red and green lighting for all 3 bands. It's not a problem, it's just not very flattering, I feel like, but it was easy enough to color grade, and I managed to get some decent edits out of it. Red lighting can be a pain for some people, but I just played into it. I have seen different lighting effects used in this venue. It definitely depends on the artist. This was just what the Hara had set, I believe, because that's actually what's in some of their album like artwork or like their cover art on Spotify. It's in red and green, so I definitely think this was an artist choice, but I have no complaints about it really. I haven't had to shoot in massively terrible lighting conditions in there yet. Now that we've talked about the venue, on to the bands. First up was Lorraise, a post-apocalyptic pop band from Glasgow. I followed these guys for years and I hadn't seen them yet, and I was just so hyped to finally see them live. I admire their work so much. I've had some of their songs saved for years, and they just put in so much work. Laura, the lead singer, is talented in more ways than you can imagine, from doing costume designs for the band to wear, for the performance artists to wear when they have backing dancers, to doing 3D renders for music videos and like promo content for the band. So talented, so creative. I love that effort. And yeah, just putting in so much passion and love into the band. It's so great. They actually had a photographer working for them, Lucy, who has done pretty much every single show of theirs that I can think of. And she's a super talented photographer. So she was there that night. So I made sure to give her plenty of space. Like, I just needed to get a few shots for Discovery Music, and this was my first time shooting with Discovery Music, which is mad to me because it feels like forever ago. So yeah, I got the shots I needed to and let Lucy have the floor because, you know, this is her band, this is her job. I just need a few shots and then I'm out of your way. Back to actually the performance bit, the kind of reviewing of Lorraine's. While they have pop in their Insta bio, it's definitely more post-apocalyptic. Like, oh my god. Like, the themes of how they play live and how they deliver the songs is just so freaking cool. Laura can scream. She can really deliver. And it's so amazing to see and hear live. Of course, I love listening to their music by streaming it and things like that, but live for that band is just so good, especially in a small venue. Like, when they're able to give a performance as if they're on like a massive stage on a small stage, you just have so much more respect for that band because they know. They know they know. This is also the gig that I made friends with Callum. So he was at the very front because he is a massive Lorraine's fan. And I remember kind of shimmying in next to him and I was like, I'm so sorry, I won't be here forever. I just need to get some shots of Lorraine's. And he was like, no, 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 you're fine. Like, I'll save space for you. Like, come and go. Like, I've got you. Solid person. Very nice. And you know what I'm even more excited to say is Callum has started his own photography journey. We've been speaking on and off since this concert, and he actually shot his first press pass show a couple of weeks back, so I'm also going to give a bit of a shout out here to Callum. His Instagram is Callum's Photography. I'll also be linking his Insta in the bio, so you guys can go check him out and support him. Give him all the love and praise for taking this step, because it's a difficult step to take, but like, you're fucking doing it, man. I'm so proud of you. And I can't wait to see his progression through this journey because it's the most fun thing ever. Ever. But yeah, back to Lorraine's. I'm sorry, side tangents. I just want to say another massive thing about Lorraine's is they've got loyal fans. Because obviously Callum's a loyal fan, but I recognize so many people in that crowd from Lorraine's. Like, you know, like just knowing that they're there for them, because I've been to another Lorraine's show since and I've seen multiple fans over and over again, and I just know that they support them so much. So really goes to show that even supporting a big band like the Hara, Lorraine's will bring in a decent chunk of that audience. I mean, they could also be friends of the Hara, but also like they're definitely fans of Lorraine's because I could see it. Yeah, I'm really proud of them. I really think what they're doing is so cool, and I genuinely think that they're gonna be the next big thing. Stream them and get tickets for their next show. Their next show is actually on the 24th of April in Glasgow at Audio. So don't miss it. It'll be a good show for sure. They're supporting Tiberius along with many other talented bands. Again, link in bio for more details. Alright, after Lorraine's, it was Tropic Gold, and I'm contradicting myself by being like, show up for the supports, give them your time, all that fun stuff, because I actually only saw Tropic Gold for like 2 minutes before I had to go backstage and take photos of the Hara. I'm saying it like I had to, but the manager of the Hara had asked if I wanted to. This is not something that happens at all normally with a press pass, especially my first time doing a press pass for Discovery Music. I was like, what do you mean go backstage and take photos of the band? I wasn't prepared for this. But the only time he could offer me was literally 2 seconds after Tropic Gold had started. So I really can't review these guys at all because I don't know what they played. But you know what? They seemed pretty cool. I thought they had a good vibe to them, but it wouldn't be an honest review because I didn't really see them, so I'm sorry. But they were there, and I took some photos of them. And I really hope I get to catch them again at something. The next show they're doing is actually a debut headline show on the 8th of May in London. So if you are interested, even after my really good review of them, you know where they'll be. Alright. Time for the Hara. The Hara is an alternative metal trio from Manchester. I was so buzzed for these guys. I started following them back in like 2023. The Fool and the Thief song I actually had saved in my like songs since October 22. So yeah, a long time. Well, not even a long time, but for me, who's a girly who's only started embracing what her music taste actually is since 22, that's, yeah. And it being my first Discovery Music shoot, I wanted to shoot someone who I knew, I was familiar with, in a small venue, and just have a good time with it. And I absolutely did. I studied the set list well in advance. However, the Hara like to do this thing where they'll ask the audience what song they would rather hear. Would you like this one or would you like this one? And I feel like the whole order of the set list, well, not the whole order, but definitely certain songs were switched about. Because when I look back on my set list playlist, I'm like, that wasn't played then, that came way later. Or I'm sure they've played a song that I don't know what one it was because it was a chaotic night. But yeah, I just love that kind of audience participation, getting involved with the fans, getting their opinion, obviously, and just having so much fun with it. Because that's what music's about. Like I said, I got to go backstage and actually speak with the guys. They were so sound. I was so nervous. Like, I just. Mostly because I didn't know I was going to be doing that. And I wasn't prepared for it. I am someone who likes to be prepared for things. If you spring something on me, I'll freak out a little bit. But I managed to handle the situation, I think, pretty well by not really speaking. And, just respecting that this is their time to, get in the moment, ready to play. If it's my pals, I'd be chatting away to them, no bother, But I don't really know these guys, and, you gotta respect. So they were sound, got some really cool photos of them backstage, and then obviously when they went on stage, got even more. And it was just so good. The guys know how to put on a show. There was moments where Josh, the lead singer, would go into the crowd for a mosh pit. There was the guitarist. He also went in for a circle pit around him while playing guitar. His guitar string broke for a bit and there was a little bit of hilarity around that. It was all fun and games. It was all really fun and just wholesome and nice and just my favorite gig to be my first gig for Discovery Music. 100%. These guys have just finished a tour, so they're not really playing any shows necessarily, but I have seen they're on the 2000 Trees lineup. Fingers fucking crossed I get to go. And they're on some other kind of festival lineups as well. I highly recommend you guys check them out if you're at a festival and they're on the lineup, or if you see them on a support for a band you want to see. They're just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And they're really funny on social media as well, so you should follow them there. Links in the bio, as always. Have I been saying bio this whole time? I mean description. I just caught myself out. Oh well. On to gig number 3. Atlantic Rift at the Blue Lamp up in Aberdeen on the 7th of February. I didn't write down the date for this one. Just gonna check my calendar. On the 8th of February. Yeah, so on Saturday the 8th, I went up to Aberdeen to go cover Atlantic Rift's headline show. The first in years, I want to say. Or at least for me, because the last time I saw them do a headline show was October 23 when they were playing at Catty. They did other dates as well on that tour, but I just covered the Glasgow date because I lived in Glasgow at the time. I mean, I still do, but you know what I mean. And I've covered them at other shows since, but they've not been headlining. So this is the first time I've got to shoot them do a headline show up in Aberdeen. But before we get into that, let's talk about the venue. The Blue Lamp I've never been to before. I just know it as the pub next to the college, which I studied at for a couple of years. And from the outside, I never would have guessed it was a gig venue. Genuinely, I just thought it was a pub. But there's 2 gig spaces in here. There's the big room and the little room. This gig was in the big room, which I think the capacity is a 200 cap, which is actually pretty decent. And the venue is actually more targeted towards jazz musicians, apparently. Jazz fans, jazz musicians, I don't know, that's what I've heard. But you know what, let's have some heavy metal bands play a show. That can't not go wrong. It didn't go wrong. It went pretty well. So yeah, big room, 200 cap, no photo barrier. This is a common theme for pretty much all the shows I've done so far. And the stage was a little bit raised, couple of feet, nothing too mad, but some height to it so that people, standing further back can still see who's on the stage. And kind of like the Hara, there was like a wee side accessy bit. If you're in the crowd and you go to the left, you could access the side stage to get shots of the drummer. And if you were super careful, you could also go up on the right side and time it with not getting hit with a bass or a guitar and get onto the side of the stage over there. It's a pretty spacious stage depending on how many band members there are, so there's quite a lot of room for you to move about and get the shots you need. Lighting wise, it was pink and blue, kind of purple, consistent, constant light. This worked for me great because I was doing video and I really liked it. Fits my theme, fits the theme of the Void video we did. I don't know how it would have been for taking photos. It might have been a bit too dark because, well, with a smaller venue like this, you could use flash because, you're working direct with the artist. There's no rules necessarily about not using flash. And I actually think Ash was using flash. I can't remember. I can't quite recall. But needless to say, there was a photographer there and I was focusing on video. So I didn't think about how the lighting looked in terms of photos, and yeah, my brain just switched off mid-thought there. I can't confirm if that's like the standard lighting that Blue Lamp always uses. I would guess it is because Blue Lamp is kind of in the name, but I haven't been there since, so I don't know. The big room does have pillars, and pillars are my arch nemesis. I hate pillars. They get in the way. They're also the nemesis of moshers because, well, you're gonna hit a pillar, aren't you, if you're fucking moshing? And I did see a few people bouncing off those pillars because they're in the middle of the room as well as along the stage. This is annoying for trying to get a wide shot of all the band members because one of them will be blocked by a pillar no matter where you try and shoot from. Or if you're on the back of the stage and you want to get a wide shot, there's going to be a pillar blocking the view of the crowd. Is what it is. Bit more annoying when you're doing video and you want to pan from one member to the other and there's a fucking pillar taking up your whole frame, but is what it is. Is what it is. But yes, onto the bands who played. First up, we had Belgrove, metalcore from Glasgow. Ha ha ha. I was really excited to see these guys because I'd seen them on a few lineups before, followed them on TikTok, was very familiar with these guys, and yeah, I was just excited to see them play, especially in Aberdeen because I'm like, these guys are from Glasgow and they're coming up to Aberdeen, which is like my hometown. How cool. I wasn't shooting these guys, but I did have my GoPro 360 mounted to the ceiling, ready for when Atlantic Rift came on because I was doing a multicam recording for them. So what's really good about my 360 is I can control it from my phone. So when there was like certain moments that I thought these guys might like this for their social media, I would just remotely record off my phone. And I still got to enjoy the gig. It was great. And yeah, like I just mentioned, these guys are super sound at social media. Like, I have so much appreciation for bands that put effort into that stuff because a lot of bands do neglect social media, and it's so important that you don't because it's the day and age we're in. You really need to have a social media presence in order for people to know you exist and to remind people you exist. As much as we hate social media taking up all of our time and energy and effort, we have to pump in our own stuff into it as well to remind people we exist, to just exist. I don't know why I went on a social media tangent mid-Belgrove review, but I did. So yeah, I made sure to record a few moments of their set, especially when they were playing Echoes because I knew that was their new song. And I thought that'd be really nice to have a social cut made for. And yeah, they're just a vibe. I did not record when frontman Darren went out into the crowd, and I'm sure he did that twice because I remember during soundcheck he was kind of wandering up and down the room, and I was just like, I wonder if this is going to be like what Sean does and like is in the crowd. And yes, I was right, he got in the crowd, but I was too busy enjoying and watching the show to get my GoPro ready and actually film that moment. But again, I love when artists and bands get involved, get in the crowd, be part of the show. It's fun. Day it. And Further brownie points go to the Shite Patter. I love Shite Patter. I love it when bands chat shit in between sound checky things when they're checking their, what are they doing? Tuning their guitars, and you gotta fill the void with some shite chat. And you gotta mock the fact that you're from Glasgow and do it in an American accent and say Glasgow and just have fun with it, because that's the best thing to do. And make jokes about saying this is the last chance to do something, but there actually will be several more chances. Shite Patter. We love it. Do it more. 10 out of 10. Very much recommend. If you want to catch Belgrove live, they're also playing the same day as Lorraise on the 24th of April at Audio. If I didn't say the location before, that's where they are playing. In Glasgow. Again, link in the description to their Instagram. Find them, buy tickets, see them at the show. You'll have a good time, I promise. They're good fun. After Belgrove, it was time for Vows. First time seeing these guys too. This is another band from Aberdeen, and the drummer Josh from Atlantic Rift is also in this band. So he was doing back-to-back sets tonight. Man was going all out. But yeah, I knew of them, I just hadn't seen them before live. So I was very excited to see them live, and I was very like, oh damn, hell yeah, you guys are fucking class. I was just really vibing. I wasn't shooting their set either, I was just enjoying the show. But yeah, I'm really pleased I've now seen Vows. They're a 5-piece band featuring some heavy vocals, and Josh, the drummer, doing his debut vocals. Which, again, fuck yeah, man, that's hard shit. If you're a drummer to do vocals, I could not. Drumming's already a full body workout and you're also singing. Nah. And like I said, you're doing back-to-back sets. I just mad appreciation for that, because that's a lot of work to be doing in one night. Back-to-back sets, and you're doing the headline set. And both sets are heavy as fuck. He drums so fast. So, yeah. Well done. What a lad. These guys are also on the same dates that Datura are doing, in Aberdeen on the 4th and Glasgow on the 5th. So if you want to check them out, link in the description. And I'll be there. So cop some tickets and we'll have a little party, a little mosh, shall we? Show some support for these guys, especially in Aberdeen where it's, you know, a hometown show for them, but also in Glasgow because they're travelling down and they are sick. They're sick, guys. I really like them. I wish I could say more about them, but I'm just not very good with words. And there wasn't a lot of information to go off of in their bio, so I can't really describe much about more than I thought they were good. Alright, Atlantic Rift time. My boys. These guys I've worked with a good few times. I think it's my 4th live show that I've done for them. And I was just focused on video for them. Like I said earlier, Ash was taking photos, so it meant I just got to be fully in my element, vibing, taking videos of the whole night across 5 cameras. Like I said, I was doing a multicam edit for their new song Delve. I'm still working on this edit. Still working on it. I will get it done. When I get it done, it'll be on Instagram, it'll be on TikTok, it'll be here, it'll be everywhere. You'll know. Make sure you subscribed and you follow the channel and you like me everywhere so that I feel validated, but also so you know when I actually get the work done. But I've been a fan of these guys for years, ever since Struan joined the band as their vocalist, because I used to work with him in a club, and in his previous band I'd shot them. I just love how I knew one person and now I know 5 people that are all really nice individuals, and I have so much time for all of them. They're a great band, I love working with them, and I was just so thrilled to finally shoot an Aberdeen hometown show for these guys. Their set consisted of 9 songs, starting with one of the 2-track release that they just did, Void, which you would think I really hate that song now, since I have been editing a music video for that for nearly a year. I mean, it's out now. You should go check that out. It's a very good music video, if I do say so myself. But I love that song so much. I love so many of Atlantic Rift's songs. Some other core favourite songs they played that I really love now are Ghosts and Headhunter. I've always loved Headhunter, again, because I filmed my first music video for that. You'd think I would be sick of it, but nah. And of course, the new song, Delve. That is a staple favourite for me now as well. Memorable moments from this have got to be Struan crowd surfing. that was really fucking cool, and to capture that, I'm like, wow, look at all these hands holding up this man. Hell yeah, well done Aberdeen. As well as Max providing some backing vocals. I've never seen him do that before, so I don't know if I've just never seen him do that before or it was his first time. If so, props to you, man. Love that. And if you're a fan of like some really nice, clean vocals as well as heavy vocals, but heavy vocals coming from Struan, really nice, clean, melodic singing coming from Aiden, fucking well done, sir. Like, they're just such a good mishmash of things. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I believe their next live performance will be at Forest Fest in July, but check their socials because maybe they'll announce something else. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, Forest Fest is the next thing they'll be doing. Link in the description. Right. 3 gigs down, 9 bands reviewed, so many bands to go. Oh god. This video is going to be so long, I know. So the 4th gig we're going to be talking about is Bilk's gig at Stereo in Glasgow on the Sunday the 16th of February. So yeah, this was actually a cover shift for somebody at Discovery Music. They had applied for a press pass and were no longer able to attend due to illness, and I thought I'll cover it, why not? My prime reason was for wanting to see what Stereo was like as a venue, as I'd never been there for a gig before, and I just wanted to know. So let's talk about it. The venue is bigger on the smaller end of venues, bigger than the Blue Lamp and the Attic, but smaller than the TV studio SWG3. It's a 300 cap room. The bar is kind of at the back, the sound desk is kind of in the middle, and there's like a bit of a pillar or a wall. I feel like there was something blocking the view in certain places. And then there's like benches along the side of the room, which people will sit on, but you can also stand on for getting some kind of like higher up shots. So there's some tricky angles to work with, but there's also some cool advantage points to things as well. This one did have a photo pit, but the size of this photo pit was just tiny. So tiny. The best way I could describe it is like if you're sitting on a bus seat and you know how close the seat in front of you is. That's like if you were sitting in the little like divots between the barrier. The barrier is made up of little sections. If you're sitting in one of those sections, there's like a little bit you can kind of rest on. If you're sitting on that, your knees would almost be touching the stage. It's that thin or that narrow. And there was maybe 6 slots for photographers to fit in. And you really had to coordinate with another photographer if you wanted to switch places and like move at the same time, because like you couldn't just move, you had to swap. It was like a lot of swapping to try and move about, and it was like one by one kind of swapping. Like you could, it was bad. It was bad. The lighting was, you know, it was constant light, no strobes, and you know the light was I think kind of purple and orange. Wasn't too bad, maybe a bit of blue in there. It was pretty solid, constant light. Nice lighting on the drummer, nice lighting on the artist. Like you could get really nicely exposed images in here. You weren't struggling with strobes and things like that. I don't know if it's like that for all gigs in Stereo or if I just got lucky. Kind of like how the Attic was. Some bands might just have constant light and not bother with flashing and stuff like that, which I mean, why not? It makes my job so much easier, but I suppose I'm still learning how. I think it comes from me being a videographer and we work with constant light, flashing lights, and just like trying to figure out speeds of shutters and things. Like, I just kind of goes over my brain a little bit. I would say the venue itself was pretty decent. I just think the night for this band was a bit unmanaged for the photo pit. So the band Bilk had put out an Instagram story that night asking for any Glasgow photographers to come cover their show, and I feel like they granted a lot more press passes than they were meant to, because for the first band there was 3 of us in the photo pit. For the second band there was quite a few, maybe 5, maybe 6 in the photo pit. Then after that there was way over 6 people for a Bilk, because you could only get 6 people in the pit at the time, but I saw at least 3 photographers at the end with cameras. Whether they all had passes, I don't know, but like, there was other people with passes. So if you wanted to get in the pit, you kind of had to get there early. There wasn't any security as well to tell us if we could shoot after 3 songs. And there was people staying in the pit after 3 songs. I just left after 3 because, well, I've got all I can really get, and I don't want to get into a habit of shooting more than 3 songs worth, when that's not really the norm. There was a little bit of a side bit you could potentially shoot from, but I wasn't sure if that was for people with AAA passes, and again, there really wasn't any security to ask. There was one security member kind of there, but I didn't ask them. I just didn't want to risk it. I took 3 songs worth of photos and I got out of that really squashed, cramped pit and shot from the crowd. On to the bands. Both supports for this night were local Scottish bands. First up were Black Doves, an indie rock band. These guys gave a pretty polished performance, from the way the guys were dressed to just the way they just delivered their performance. I mean, they're all standing behind mic stands because they're all playing instruments. They can't run about and do crazy shit like the next band. But, they were decent. They were decent. As with many local support bands, you could tell they had brought their kind of local fans, family as well. I noticed quite a few family members, particularly because when I was trying to get into the venue, you've got a really narrow staircase, and there was a family group in front of me who were trying to get their tickets sorted, clearly for one of the members of a band. But they just were not very organized, and I had arrived for 7, but they'd opened doors early and I couldn't squeeze past everyone. So I was getting a little impatient because I just needed to get in. There's just it's my own fault. I mean, it wasn't my own fault. I covered the shift last minute, so it's not like I prepared or planned, but just anyway. But yeah, I mean, I did manage to have enough time to get into the photo pit for these guys, grab a few shots. Thought they were good, pretty chill, pretty mellow, indie rock kind of vibes, What more can I say? The Skins, who were on after them, were the complete opposite. They brought a lot more chaotic energy compared to the first band, and just, wow, going for it, crazy vibes, really escalated things. I was like, okay, we're going for it now. I like this. The lead singer was running all over the stage, kind of giving me Matt Healy vibes, dropping to his knees on the stage, doing some crazy stuff. The guitarist or bass player, I can't remember, was constantly smiling and laughing to him, and it was just a lot of happy camaraderie between the band members, between these guys, which again, I like that. I like seeing you enjoying yourself on stage. You're happy to be here and play your tunes. That's what we want to see. They also did a very cool cover of Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, and I think that's so fun to hear in a Scottish accent. So yeah, they were class. And then it was time for Bilk. I knew one of their songs before covering the show, however it wasn't on the set list, which I was a bit sad about, but the set list was the tour was for their new album, Essex, Drugs, Rock and Roll. I remember seeing the guitarist setting up all the guitars as well before the guys came on, because sometimes they have stagehands or people to help set up things for them, so I wasn't sure if it was a band member, if it was just somebody helping out the band. And then the band started playing. I was like, oh wow, that's cool, I like that you did that. I see what you did there. They're a 3-piece band who really gave a mixed performance between the members. I feel like it was a combination of the 2 support acts, because obviously we had the guitarist who was lively as anything, much like the Skins band, but then we had the vocalist who was almost kind of like the Black Doves, but he was in a tracksuit, very chill, and just kind of chill, singing into a microphone stand. I feel like microphone stands can be very limiting, especially if you're playing with guitar and singing, because it just your performance is then stuck in the spot. And I think with music you need to be dancing about, but that's not possible for many bands who sing and play instruments. So is what it is. I would say their sound reminded me of early indie rock alt band. They were here to have a party, and that's what we love. I mean, again, the album Essex, Drugs and Rock and Roll does suggest all of that, doesn't it? You know, I feel like I would need to really kind of listen to them again to give them a proper review, and I haven't really since. Again, I was just covering this event for Discovery Music, so, you know, a press pass isn't going to waste. However, had we probably known that Bilk was gonna put out a mass call for photographers and it be such an oversaturated photo pit, there was no need really for us to be there as well, I feel, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got to experience Stereo and see what that venue's like. Would go again to that venue if I knew there wasn't going to be more than 3 photographers. Any more than that, I'm out. I don't want any part of that. It's crazy. 2 is decent. 3, you're pushing it. Any more than that, no. I don't want any part in that. Alright, gig number 5. This is actually a gig I attended, so I wasn't shooting any of the bands on this bill. It was The Devil Wears Prada at Slay in Glasgow on Monday, the 17th of February. So the day after the Bilk show. So yeah, this is one of the few gigs I'm going to review from a 10D perspective. I did apply for a press pass for this one, but I didn't get it. No hard feelings, obviously. Like, I still had a ticket to attend the show, so it's all good. And I'm actually really glad that I didn't have to shoot it because I really, really enjoyed being able to attend this gig. Went with one of my friends, Alex. She's part of the Gig Graham crew. She took the day off work. We had a few bevs and we were ready to partay. But they decided to move the doors earlier, like the opening, the start time of the gig earlier, which, like I said, I'd shot a gig the night before. I was kind of recovering from that. So we did end up missing the first support band, but we didn't really know them. As much as I'm a person who says you should show up for the supports, support the supports, you can't do them all. I do a lot of gigs, I see a lot of bands. I can't see them all. I can't be there all the time. It is what it is. And this was one of those gigs where there was 2 bands on my mind and that's all I could really think about. But yeah, let's still talk a little bit about the venue, even though I wasn't shooting here, just to kind of give you an overview. Slay as a venue is a 550 cap venue. It feels smaller every time I go. Like, the last time I was there was for, I think, Neck Deep, or it was Of Mice and Men. I can't remember. I think it was Neck Deep. This was a sold out gig as well for The Devil Wears Prada, and it was busy as heck. I love Slay though, because even though it's a 550 cap venue, it feels like a small but big but intimate venue. Like, it's just such a nice size of venue, and the crowd is really easy to move through because it's only really 3 or 4 rows of like fans at the barrier, and then it's just massive mosh pit. So it's always moving. It's very easy to get around and find your friends again, unlike the Hydro where it's, you know, not happening. For this show, there was a photo barrier. Now, when I've been to Slay in the past, particularly Neck Deep, there wasn't a photo barrier because I crowd surfed and I ended up on the stage and I went, "Wow, what am I doing here next to Neck Deep? Get me off the stage." Genuinely, that was my reaction. I did not know how that. Nope. Yeah. How the fuck am I a photographer in the music industry now? I don't really know. I'm not gonna be able to process the moment that I get put on the stage with an artist, but I'll have a camera in my hand, so it's fine. It's just, I was caught in a moment of like, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah. Slay's the only venue I've crowd surfed in, so that's saying something. I do like it as a venue. But yeah, there was a barrier for The Devil Wears Prada. I obviously wasn't shooting, so I can't really comment on the size of the barrier or what the lighting was like. Now, I think the lighting was pretty consistent. I don't remember if there was strobe or flashing. I know from like the footage I get on my phone, it always looks pretty decent in Slay. I feel like it slays. Don't do that, Kay. But I feel like they have pretty decent lighting that shows the artist quite well lit. Yeah, yeah. But I can't really comment on the lighting because I wasn't taking photos. So I don't really know if it was good or good not. Good not? Good or not good for photos. Alright. On to the bands. The first band we saw, obviously because we missed the first support act, was Ocean Grove. Oh my god. It's my first time seeing these guys. I've been a fan ever since their song Junkie got saved into my playlist from the group Spotify blend back in January 23. I can't say that I've really deep dived into them, but when I found out, I think I listened to a few more of their songs last summer. And then obviously we found out that they were added to this lineup. They were replacing a band. I wish I could remember. I want to say Steely or Space Cowboy or something like that. Something about Space Cowboy. But yeah, I was so hyped. So was my friend Alex, because we love Ocean Grove. And they were just so fucking good. I think me and Alex might have been the only fans there. Well, not the only fans, but few of many people that knew Ocean Grove, I think. And we were singing along, having a boogie at the front, having the best fucking time. These guys are from Australia. And my god, every time I find out that a band is from Australia, I'm like, there's so many good bands from Australia. It's unreal. So, yeah, I mean, good. Oh my god. Yeah, these guys, they give the good vibes. And our class is being a blend of new metal, hardcore and alternative rock, and with 3 core members but 5 when performing live, they definitely deliver. The frontman was like smiling away while asking us to make the pit wider and wider and wider, and I'm just like, sir, we will be chaotic gremlins if you keep this up. Like, we will, it's Scotland you're in. Like, you don't need to tell us twice. We will go pit. And we pitted. We pitted a lot. So this is why I will be so honest with myself in saying that the next band that we're on, which was Kingdom of Giants, I don't remember a thing. All I remember, and I only remember this because I found a video on my phone the next day of me checking my nose because I got absolutely punched in a mosh pit in the nose. I remember that, and I remember going, oh god, I've been hit. Yeah. It was one of those kind of chaotic nights where I really don't remember Kingdom of Giants. And we were busy on side quests of going to the bar, going to the bathroom, recovering from the mosh pit. Alex didn't really know them. I knew a few of their songs because I had saved them from, I'm gonna assume, a blended playlist at some point, because they're saved in a playlist, but they're not in my liked songs, but they're saved in a playlist. So yeah, I mean, I had a few of their songs that I kind of knew, but honestly, totally blacked out that period of the night. I don't remember their set, so I can't really give them an honest review. I feel bad about not remembering, and like, I have shit memory at the best of times, so I'm not going to be hard on myself for not remembering, but it is what it is. But what I do remember so vividly well was The Devil Wears Prada. It was my first time seeing these guys. And I'm quite late to the scene, and I feel like I've discovered this band quite late compared to everyone else because they've been on the go for a while. I found them through their album Colour Decay, and the first song that I have saved in my liked is Salt, back in January 2023. I fucking love that song. I love that whole album, and obviously this tour played a lot of tracks from their, newer stuff, but some old songs too. So I feel like I was pretty happy with the set and the set list and just the overall experience. Again, for my first time seeing them, I was a happy gal. The Devil Wears Prada is a metalcore band from Ohio, but do have a fond love for Scotland, as one of the singers demonstrated with his Scottish flag tramp stamp tattoo. Thank you, sir, for embodying our flag on your skin forever. Dedication. I think he explained he probably has some family connections, as most Americans seem to do. But yeah, I mean, I just had the best time at this show. I really fucking did. The mosh pits went hard as well. I crowd surfed, which we love that for me. I mean, I looked at the set list so much before this gig, and it's just full of bangers, and some songs I hadn't heard before. I don't know why I hadn't heard Reasons before, but oh my god, that is now like one of my favorite songs. I have listened to it so much since the gig. So yeah, I had a great time, as did the band, I think. It was their first day of the UK run of the UK Europe tour. They'd done several Europe dates before this, but I think they were pretty excited to be in Scotland, as every band is. Scotland is just the best. I'm biased, I know, saying that, but I've heard so many bands say that Scotland is the best. We just know how to party. We know how to gig. We are so good at it. 10 out of 10, would recommend, would go again. I love them so much. It was so much fun. Alrighty, gig number 6. This is actually going to be the last one that we're going to do in this part. I think so far we've done 18 bands, no, 15 bands. The total we're going to cover in this video is 18. So we got 3 more to go on gig number 6. And this gig was Motionless in White on the 17th of February at the O2 Academy in Glasgow. And this was one I was shooting as well as reviewing. Like, I actually wrote a review for this one. So, because I actually wrote a review for this one for Discovery Music, I'm going to talk about the actual venue itself first and like the chatty way I have been and like the experience of shooting here. But after that, I'm probably just going to read you the review that I already wrote, because why do something twice? So I will link it down below as well so you can read that, but let's talk about the venue first. So O2 Academy, it is my biggest venue that I've shot in to date. It's bigger than SWG3. It is a 2,500 capacity venue. It's split level downstairs. You got your base kind of level, and you got a little bit of a raised section where the bar is. You've also got the balcony. It's huge. It's daunting. It's massive. And I talk a lot about this experience of the night in my vlog where I shot Motionless in White and I read all the photos and things like that. But I'll just remind you guys here, for anyone who didn't watch that, the press pass pickup situation at the O2 is the worst. It's a nightmare. I'll just say be prepared for them to not have your name, for no security to tell you where to go, and then for maybe your pass to get approved minutes before the first band comes on, and you've got to run, and it's stressful. So yeah, not fun. O2 Academy needs to sort out their press pass situation. Also, how long it takes them to get people in the venue, because for the first band, there was so much space on the floor and there was so many people queuing outside. So many people queuing outside. I don't know why they don't make doors earlier for somewhere that takes so long to get people in the door. My opinion. So we run into the venue, we literally run in as Brand of Sacrifice, the first band, support band, is coming on. I get to the photo pit and like just get everything ready instantly, like just fire, go. You don't have time to fuck about. So yeah, I mean, the photo pit at the O2 is ginormous. It's the biggest photo pit I've been in, like depth wise. You've got so much space to roam around each other, which is great because obviously there's security guards there as well, especially if it's going to be a gig where there's crowd surfers, which of course there was going to be several for this night. So you've got space to move around all the photographers as well as the security guards. And Motionless in White had 2 video cameras on tripods for doing like live video to these big screens so that people in the far back could see what was going on stage, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen that done in an O2 venue before, but it did take up space in the pit, so a little bit annoying. Overall, the stage is, I wouldn't say it's the best photo pit for getting good photos. I'm quite short, I'm 5'4", and the stage was pretty tall. I don't know if I would say it was like my shoulder height or my chin height. It was tall. And there was also monitors on the edge of the stage, as well as like the little step ups that the band members will stand on. So you've got things obstructing your view, as well as those tripods with cameras on them, as well as security guards. There's a lot of obstructions to work with, which limit, the shots you can get. But the pit is pretty like wide in depth, so you can move back closer to the barrier, closer to the fans to get less obstructed views. But also there's crowd surfers happening, so you kind of need to be away from the barrier. It depends on the band, it depends on what's happening, but you do end up being kind of sandwiched up against the stage when there's 100 crowd surfers coming over that barrier. Not 100, but a lot. So it's a tricky pit. Lighting wise, I can't really remember too much about it, if I'm being super honest. Because it was my first O2 Academy show, it was just kind of a bit of a panicked blur. I mean, much like SWG3, it's going to have the programmed flash lighting, a lot of things going on, and it's all kind of band dependent. So, yeah, lighting, it is what it is. It's going to be on a case by case basis, I would say, for that kind of venue. And I'm pretty used to small venues, so I'm still getting used to how large venues do lighting. I'm very much still learning. This was my second time doing a big show, my first time being in October 23, so it had been a while since I'd done anything with fancy big strobe lighting. But you gotta learn. So yeah, it's a learning experience. For the support bands, after we had our 3-song limit and we had to leave the photo pit, we left the photo pit at the front of the crowd, so we would just go out on the side and try and battle our way through the crowd. For the first band it wasn't so bad, but by the second band, when Fit for a King was on, it was pretty dense in there now, so it was quite hard to move through this crowd. And we could keep our cameras on us and shoot from the crowd for the first 2 bands, but not for Motionless in White once 3 songs had been. So I did kind of get some shots from the crowd, not many, because I was also reviewing the gig. I wanted to take notes during this time, so I can't really comment on what it's like to take photos throughout the arena. The arena? It's not an arena. Academy. I would like to shoot here again and get to explore the other kind of areas within the venue to shoot from, especially the balcony, because that was like a big appealing thing to me about this place. But it was a very rushed, chaotic night. Again, with not having enough time to get our press passes and get into the venue and having your 20 minutes before the band comes on, I never saw the set times piece of paper that's usually slotted somewhere once you come into the venue, because we had to run. So the whole night I spent not knowing when bands were coming on. There's also no signal in the O2 Academy, especially once you're down near the photo pit, because it's so busy. So if that's some kind of advice I could also warn you guys of, if you're going to be shooting there, try make sure you find out the set times beforehand. I know it's hard. A lot of bands won't share set times, or just like be super aware of where it might be when you're arriving in the venue. It'd been a while since I'd been to the O2. It'd been over a year, so I really forgot the layout and like where things were. So yeah, but learn from my mistakes. It wasn't even my mistake. It was fucking the O2s. But yeah, would love to try and shoot here again for maybe a not sold out Academy show. Potentially even an overcapacity Academy show, because it was really dense in that crowd. Really dense. Really dense. Anyway, on to the bands. And as I mentioned earlier, I am just going to read what I wrote for my Discovery Music review. So it might sound a little fancy, but that's because it's a written review. And if it looks like I'm reading, well, I am, because I wrote this. I mean, I know I've been looking at my laptop this whole time to check my notes throughout this video, so it looks like I've probably been reading the whole time, but now I'm actually going to read word for word what I wrote. So, let's get into the bands. Brand of Sacrifice from Toronto set the night off, with the crowd opening a massive circle pit in the centre of the Academy that never seemed to stop spinning, combined with lead vocalist Kyle Anderson calling for crowd surfers during their last song Eclipse, which they dedicated to the headliners. The song before this, Blinded, drummer Charon Westmore delivered intense bursts of blast beats that had the whole venue shaking. Sufficient to say, this deathcore band really did get the crowd going. The 30-minute set consisted of 7 songs, all of which Anderson demanded the attention of the crowd through his heavy guttural vocals. Being in the full pit for the first 3 songs and up close and personal to such power was a tad terrifying, but in the best way possible. That's all I wrote for Brand of Sacrifice. On to the next. I am cutting like bits, mostly from the Motionless in White review part, but bits. Like even the intro. Like, go read the whole thing. I will link it in the description if you're interested. Next support, metalcore Fit for a King joined the tour from Texas, a band we've been on We've been. I can't read my own words. A band who've been on the go since 2007, almost as long as Motionless, and have built up a strong following of fans from the reaction the crowd gave. They felt as though they could have been a headliner with the way they took to the stage, forever jumping and moving about the place, along with the crowd, which was densely packed at this point as I tried to make my way to a spot after being in the photo pit. Near impossible in a sold-out O2. Lead vocalist Ryan Kirby let out an impressive 24-second long scream during song Backbreaker, which, so glad I caught that moment on video. Not only can he scream, but pairs it with clean, melodic singing, particularly in their song When Everything Means Nothing, with backing vocals provided from Daniel Gailey on guitar. Really annoyed that video that I'm talking about will not download on my phone, so I can't include it at this if I wanted to. The circle pit from Brand of Sacrifice had fully turned into a mosh pit by this point, as fans channeled the energy from the Kings, and during Breaking the Mirror, the crowds were up and surfing through the heavy breakdowns and melodic riffs. Those not surfing were headbanging and singing along to every word. Definitely a solid support to have on this tour right before the main act came on. Don't know what happened to my voice there in that end sentence. We're keeping on. Motionless in White take to the stage emerging from the haze, opening with Meltdown, the first track of their latest album, scoring the end of the world. And when the first word we hear from frontman Chris Motionless is a classic bleh, you know you're in for a heavy metalcore night. I hope that was a decent bleh. My throat's really dry from all the talking I've been doing, so probably not. A break between songs had Glasgow chanting their go-to phrase, here we fucking go, to which Chris took his in-ear monitor out and responded, every fucking band looks forward to hearing that shit when they get here. You guys are awesome. Which fans cheered back in response, and from the photo pit you could see just how full a sold-out 2,500 capacity O2 was. It was definitely over capacity. The 17-song setlist was a strong selection across their almost 20 years discography, featuring classics such as Thoughts and Prayers, Soft, Reincarnate, and Another Life, to list a few. For potentially Motionless in White's biggest song from their latest album, frontman Chris wanted to make sure the crowd still knew the words, instructing everyone in the audience screams back 2 different words as he says, one mutilation, the crowd chants back, The crowd chants back, under God, and then goes on to say, this song's called Slaughterhouse, bang your fucking heads, which of course the crowd knows well. The original track features Brian Garris of Knocked Loose, but for tonight's show, Ryan Kirby of Fit for a King stepped into this role. During this tour, the band have played a surprise song each night to give the fans something unique to them, and for the Glasgow show we got Undead Ahead 2, The Tale of the Midnight Ride, which Ricky Horror Olsen, guitarist, contributes clean vocals for after the final chorus. Having attended previous Motionless in White shows, it was refreshing to actually hear Ricky singing solo and not just as backing vocals. So getting this song was clearly a real treat for the fans as they cheered in response. Being a Motionless in White fan myself and having seen them play live 3 times before this, all of which being support or festival slots, I cannot recommend seeing them headline their own show enough. From production value to the actual musical performance itself, this is a metalcore band who know how to put on a spectacular show. And that is the end of the video. Oh my god. You guys, you do not understand how long I've been recording this for. My arm has been perched up like this for almost 2 whole hours. I did not think I'd be filming this long continuously. My throat is very dry. I'm hoping I can cut this down quite a lot, because otherwise it's going to be a really long video for you to watch, and I apologize. But that was 18 bands over a small period of time. I definitely feel like I've talked too much, so we'll try and cull this as much as I can. Any feedback you guys can give, much appreciated. I spent so long writing down all the things I wanted to talk about, and then I think I over-talked, and now I'm going to have a really long edit on my hands, which is just fantastic. There will be a part 2, because we only got to the 17th of February. Obviously, it's now April, so there's a whole month and a half there to still recap. Another several more bands. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching till the end, you're a fucking trooper. Let me know your thoughts. Were you at any of these shows? Is there any information you wish I went further into detail with? Fire them in the comments section. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, check out all the bands I've talked about. Their links are in the description. Buy tickets to their shows, support local bands. I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. That'll do.